Oh, what is going on here? What is this about? I have no idea. So, yeah, I've got cables and cameras and lights and music. There's no music, actually. It's just me. But I'm here with you tonight, Tuesday, July 28th. Yes, 2020. And we're here on the Savannah Performance Project, The Interview. And I'm worn out. The technology has taken its toll on me today, and it's just been massive. One thing that happened was my audio just went out. So you know what? Nobody should talk about the problems that they have or the struggles that they have when everybody's struggling right now, right? Am I right? Technology is what it is. But tonight on our show, I have a gentleman who needs an introduction because I've just now met him last week. So I'll go ahead and introduce him for you. He's been spending much time in the green room, enjoying the entire charcuterie tray, gobbling it down like he's never eaten before. Actually, I'm a little worried about him. Gentleman's name is Brendan Bradley, and I found out about him through a Facebook post, as most things happen. He was featured in the playbill for this thing that he's created, this thing that he has produced. Not to mention the fact that he's acted on screen and on stage for 20 years now, and has numerous acclamations, decorations, whatever the word is. He's got a lot of them. So I'm going to bring him on now, and we're going to have some fun, and you're going to enjoy it, and I'm going to enjoy it. And I've provided several links for you to enjoy it. You can watch it here on YouTube or Facebook, or you can also watch it on Twitch. I now have a Twitch channel, so check that out if you're a Twitcher or Twitchy, whatever. I don't know if you're Twitchy. And as well, we have a hub thing, which is what this is all about. So I'm going to bring him on now. Give me 1 second. Stop the insanity. Stop the insanity. Are you here? Are you here?
Hey, how you doing, Chris? I see you. I see you. I hear you. All the things.
Good. How are you? Yes, all the things. I'm going to turn my light down because I feel like I'm in front of a yellow sun right now, and it's powering me up. But yeah, a little more yellow sun. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I am equally frazzled because when you deal with technology, we are pushing it to the outer regions.
Yes, we are. And in particular, this evening, I think I'm streaming on 3 different places. Actually, now 4 different places. Yep. And tell me a little bit about this 4th place that I'm streaming on right now.
The 4th place that you are hopefully streaming on, I mean, we will all find out together.
Yes.
I might as well just take everybody into it. If you're not going to be brave and click on the link, we'll give you a little taste, which is the Furture Stages, which is on Mozilla Hubs, which is a social VR platform that can be accessed using the same URL on almost any device. So if you have a VR headset, that's awesome. But if you don't, then you can check out what VR is all about through a web browser or through your mobile device. And it is basically, think of it as a template for a website. I've built a theater that anybody can host a production in. And so I've gone ahead and thrown Chris's Inspire graphic from Facebook up here. We can walk over to the box office and walk into the lobby. If I can do that with my little arrow keys. Use your arrow keys to navigate around. Use your mouse to click and drag to look around if you don't have a VR headset. We have some graphics in here. So obviously the SPP logo. I found a little lineup for this week's podcast, or maybe this month's. I've turned myself looking at the ceiling. It's a very, very gorgeous ceiling. I have the equity bucket in the corner there for people that can make donations to Equity Cares Actors Fights AIDS. And then we come on to the stage here, and we could see that I'm on stage, and previously Chris was on stage as well, and maybe we can get to that a little later on. But anybody could enter this environment, grab yourself a seat. I'll just walk down and turn around on the house so folks can see it. You can go just hold down a space bar. It'll illuminate little waypoints. You click on one of those waypoints, you sit in the chair.
Oh,
and now suddenly you're in the theater watching the show. Where it says stream offline is where I think we're supposed to be streaming. So I don't know if our live stream link is actually working with us today.
Yes,
but
yes. Yeah, I'm going to jump in the chair now. I'm going to switch cameras real quick and jump in my chair, and we're going to see if we can't get this set up. Apologies to my green room, which has taken so much effort to get going. But I think I'm going to go a more traditional route now that we're in your place of business, shall we say. Add myself back. Wait a minute. What am I doing? Camera. FaceTime. And are we back? Yes, we're back. There we are. And I see you're waving. Is that you waving on stage right now?
That's me waving on stage, because what I can do is, if I did have a headset, just do the little switch back here. If I have a headset, then I can be on stage either live streaming to the back of the theater, or I have hands through my paddles. I can look around and see the actual audience, and I could call on people if they raise their hands to ask questions, or if they gave emojis, or I could see the chat if people were chatting away. You've actually very wisely disabled the ability to add objects to the room, because otherwise I would draw a sword and show a little sword play, which is something that I was working on today for the first time.
Oh, wow. Okay, so right now I am loading up the room. Apologies, folks, because I actually had of course, a audio problem, and I had to restart my computer. But I think we just got the cue that I've entered the room. Let's see. And I am going to, here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to share my screen real quick. And let's see. Chrome tab.
But this will basically allow anybody to put themselves and their production into either a live stream on the back curtain or to perform as avatars. So the idea is, in this moment of non-physicality, when we're all put to different ends of the earth, we're all being remote, we're all being distant. I do not personally think we should wait until March or June of next year to start participating in the ritual that is theater. And so this was a open source environment that I have now given away to the world. It is absolutely free to use. You can go to my website, brendanabradley.com/future stages, which is what I'm calling this. And it has all the assets and instructions that you need to take this thing and play with it.
Very cool. Okay, so I'm going to sit myself down in the place where I've longed to be for so long. And that is the, let's see, I've moved myself there. Hopefully I still have the same avatar. Maybe you could pull your screen up real quick and show me what you're seeing when I'm in the room.
I think on my end, because I'm trying to stream so many things at one time, I don't actually see your video in the backstage. So you sharing it actually gets a better overall experience.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something that you suggested I do before, and that is actually put myself in the theater twice. But as you can see, if I'm going to share my screen now, I can actually see, Brendan, you're sitting in one of the seats there that you put yourself in.
Yeah, that is my my character on my computer, and then my guy on the headset. I'm going to walk into the theater now. Oh gosh! And join you on stage.
On stage, okay. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not going to join myself on stage again, but so basically, what you could do here, and the way that I'm looking at it, is I could host my show on stage here and have several guests, and also have video up on screen. Whatever I choose to have up on screen, I could stream up there. Right now, as we can all see, I am streaming this stream within the stage. But the idea is that you could stream pretty much anything. You can stream a live performance by 2 individuals or 3 individuals, however many you want to put in there, correct?
Yes. So what I've been working on is finding all sorts of different hacks and fun ways to put multiple actors on stage, basically using free ubiquitous technology that gamers use to Twitch stream their gameplay.
Ah, very cool. Wow, look at the repetition that I've just invoked here.
Yes, you're definitely looking down the prism with your screen share.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you're wearing right now. You're wearing an Oculus, is that correct? Or are you just wearing like a hand-fashioned headset?
This is an Oculus Quest,
okay,
which is very difficult to get a hold of now. But I actually designed the entire environment on a computer. So you do not need the fancy. It is fun to have the fancy. But if you don't have it, I also have created an escape room in the past on the Lenovo Mirage Solo, which is basically like if you took an Android and duct taped it to a visor. It's pretty much the same experience. So you do not need all of the fancy gear, but it is fun to have toys and to play with them.
Oh yes, it's always fun to have toys and play with them. But now we're looking at things, and I'm still offline. What is going on there? But now we're looking at the fact that we're having to do everything at a distance now. We're having to, of course, confine ourselves separately from one another. Toys are becoming more and more tools than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw the Emmy announcements today, but Oculus had 3 nominations for Emmys because of content that's being made in VR.
I did not know that. That's pretty amazing. Turn on my light here because I don't like the look of that. Also, being live right now is a fun thing. Everything is an adjustment. I'm going to adjust my light. I'm going to adjust my sound. Everything is up in the air.
I think actually what's liberating about that, though, is because I've been having a lot of conversations with various theater companies, touring groups, playhouses all over the country. And it's been fascinating because in this moment, I think a lot of people talk about live stream and live technology in a way that actually they would never dare talk about live performance. And I think it's very interesting because you just said the lighting, the sound. Well, we have people for that. We hire these wonderful technicians and designers to bring to life stage productions and live events. And I just think we need to begin empowering those same creative artistic geniuses to be working in virtual space. So we should have people designing lighting. We should have people designing scenic elements. We should have people designing blocking for more of a 2D surface or a 2D camera. And I think that this gives the live performance community an opportunity to start approaching their work and thinking about their work in a new way. I mean, pretty much every scenic designer I've worked with in the last 5 years has rendered their scenery in some type of a 3D modeler first, and or like an AutoCAD or some type of thing to be able to print out and show diagrams or blueprints. So we're already moving that direction. And this just allows you to kind of plug it in and have a direct application of kind of what before was the pre-work, that before the build, you're now just doing a virtual build.
Right. And I guess my biggest question is, what you've created here is you have a stage and you have a screen. And at what point, though, do we stop looking at the depth factor of actual live theater? I mean, do you think that's a huge loss, or do you think it's just basically where we are now? We're getting to the next level at some point.
I mean, if I understand your question, I think there's 2 components to it. I mean, first and foremost, I prefer some theater versus no theater. And right now the options are some theater or a version of theater, or taking stagecraft and applying it to a new evolving medium. We don't have to call it theater if it frustrates people, right? But it's something, and it's live. It's not television. Or sitting on our hands and waiting until June, which I don't personally, I think that for myself as a storyteller, storytelling is not optional. It's like breathing. Right. Sometimes it's harder to breathe and sometimes it's easier, but I think right now you have to create. And so getting caught up in kind of the semantics of what is and isn't theater is less important to me personally, if the alternative is just not doing it. But secondarily, I grew up, my earliest theater was in the round. So honestly, entering a proscenium stage for the first time after a couple productions felt flat compared to the environment that I had first adopted theater in. So I think if you just stop looking at it from a perspective of what it's lacking and start looking at what the differences may be and just what the adjustments have to be, I think all theater has been site specific, particularly site specific theater. But when it comes to different types of staging, different types of seating, different types of technology and enhancements that have already been used for decades, this is simply just a different type of staging for live performance.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it too. The other part of it that we can't have right now that I think this may add to it is the idea of mutual enjoyment of a group of people. They can come in and they can see a performance or something on the screen that at the same time and be able to enjoy that from their own perspective in your theater, and that's something that basically we can't do right now. So I think that's a great way to look at it.
Well, I think streaming culture in a lot of ways, everything that I've done is just borrowing from what much smarter people have been trying to play with for several years. And I think that everything that Furture Stages and my work represents is I thought all this might happen over the next 3 to 5 years. And instead it's just had to happen over 3 to 5 months because of a global crisis.
Right.
But I love how many of the platforms are now having, like streaming platforms are having watch parties. So many different services are looking for ways to allow people to experience synchronicity and a shared community experience. And so I think looking for different ways to really physically represent an audience so that they can be aware of each other, they can share it with each other, they can commune with each other and engage with each other. And then most importantly, they can hide or kick each other if they're disrupting the performance.
Well, yeah, you got to have a bouncer in the room.
Right.
But yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because that's my trademark. See, when I say, well, let me ask you this, I'm actually thinking of a question in my head.
Oh, perfect.
And actually, me explaining it even stretches out that time. So it's further. Yes, exactly.
It's always funnier when you explain the joke. That's the rule.
That's the rule. But so what other projects have you been involved in? I know you've been focusing on this a lot, but I've seen a lot of productions come up that have gone straight to online. One in particular that I noticed this past week, they started to announce a group of Broadway individuals are creating a murder musical. Have you seen this?
There was a group of Twitch folks that did kind of their own parody of Clue. Okay. And they did it on Twitch, but they just did it Zoom style in the little boxes.
Yeah.
But they did do a live musical and they performed live to a guide track that everybody heard at the same time. And it got sloppy here and there. And it was very funny. I was on a call this morning with some folks being like, right, but I mean, what if they get off key or what if they lose the rhythm? And I was like, have you seen live musicals? Like, I've been at so many shows where people have gotten out of pace with each other and out of sync with each other. Like that's kind of the art. And it just takes more rehearsal and more practice. But yes, that was happened this weekend. And then Irish Arts Center did The Weir, and they explored kind of, people are calling it Zoom 2.0 because what they're basically doing is conceiving of all the different angles of the same room. And then they just switch out the Zoom backdrops for where everybody would be in the room as they walk around and move. So all the actors are in their respective homes and they're just using the Zoom background removal feature to slip in, oh, he's going to walk over to the door. Well, now we're going to throw the door behind him and cut away. And when we cut back, he's at the door.
Yeah.
And it was incredibly ambitious. It was really, really cool. It to me was a lot of editing. But more of the stuff I've been doing is really trying to get back to actually just one angle, sitting there, letting actors be composited next to each other in the same virtual space and let them do the staging, let them do the storytelling. I mean, for me, the separation between live television and live stage work is television has the edit and it tells you where to look, and theater does not. You are in an environment, and stage directing is meant to help the audience know where to experience the story.
Properly pull focus, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I want to really empower performers to do that, is to stage works in a wide, proscenium stage so that they can do their work. They can do their art instead of worrying about having an entire editing team on the other side.
Very cool. Okay, I have a question. Here's a question.
Yes. I might not know the answer.
Guest question. Christopher Jean Susi asked, are there people creating narratives that are specifically designed for the Zoom format versus adapting stage work to this particular medium? And I think you'd agree, yes, yeah.
Yes, I mean, a lot of them are. And right out of the gate, when the pandemic first happened, the public theater specifically brought back a series that they had been developing in the past because they felt like it would work as like a true kitchen sink drama with people literally just sitting there around the kitchen table. So people are finding creative ways. But again, for me personally, I feel like Zoom is more of a separate medium than this is, because Zoom is head and shoulders framing, boxes. It's it's a brand new type of staging. It is its own format, and I don't think it really resembles anything that we've ever really done on stage. Maybe a table read, where you kind of look around and everybody's just at the table reading the script. So for readings, I think that's an interesting way of doing it, but I love standing it up. I love the physicality and the movement. All of this really came out of, I have a lab at NYU that specifically looks for emerging technology and live performance and empowering the students to explore and experiment with it. And so we were in the middle of the spring semester and the students were on, they're survey instructors, so they kind of encounter 3 different technologies through the course. And in the middle of it, they had just gotten Oculus headsets from Facebook to explore social spaces, and the shutdown happened. And we were previously going to emulate distance by renting out different rehearsal rooms. And instead, everybody was just separated. So they started meeting in virtual space and actually creating VR theater. And I think, as scary and crazy as it sounds, if you have the opportunity to put on a headset and start playing around in VR, it is a full embodied experience. You have your hands. Some of the haptic stuff gives you a sense of touch. It really does become a sensorial experience like being on stage.
So when you create the performance part of that, you're staging it so that you have the full body, correct? And so when you piece that together, right now, the way you're looking at it, I think the tests that I've seen you do, it's like one person and another person, correct? But the plan to go forward is to have multiple people on stage, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you could have multiple people on stage. You could make yourself represented multiple times. I gave a talk for TCG, Theater Communications Group, that culminated in, I did the opening of Henry V, and put that on stage using a live remote that I could switch the screens behind me and the backgrounds and put AR props in front of me and all that kind of stuff. And I specifically at one point during the show just repeated my video feed to represent an army, because I was then representing multiple characters simultaneously.
Very cool. Is there video of that?
There is.
Excellent. I will try and find that and post a link.
As well,
yeah, it never goes away, as well as a certain Staples commercial that I believe.
That is true. That is true.
Yes. I didn't know that before we talked. I just found out today that you were the Staples guy.
I was.
So, yes. Was that a long journey?
That was a great gig.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was. You're very fast with your talking, I noticed.
That was the rule. That was the rule. Speaking of, theatrical training, the auditions for that were for that job, and what became the kind of crucial component of that job was memorizing long lists of nonsensical office supplies and rattling them off as quickly as possible, but as clearly as possible, and doing it again and again and again, and the script changing every single time that I did it. So all that theater training comes back to help you.
Definitely. So among your background of various commercial as well as narrative pieces, what has been your favorite?
Oh, that's a terrible question.
Isn't
that's
it?
That's choosing children.
I'm going to guess that it was Rubbing Ed Asner's Feet. Is that true?
It's up there. It's up there.
Okay.
Ed and I have a long sordid past, but that's another great example of, I think that a lot of my career is defined by moments like this one of adaptability. And instead of questioning whether we should do something, just focus on making the art and doing it. And I was part of a staged reading of a murder mystery script, maybe 7 years ago now, for investors, that I performed this butler lead role that kind of got into everybody's business. And we did that for investors, and then I never heard anything ever again. And as is the way. And then a week before they started filming, I'm guessing somebody dropped out, but I got a phone call and they're like, "Hey, you did this reading and we're filming next week."
Wow.
And suddenly I was this role.
Yeah.
And I got to be in that movie with Ed Asner.
Yeah. There's some big names in that too, I believe.
There were some good folks in that.
Yeah. Sean Young. Veterans. Yes.
Veterans.
But if you want to watch it, folks, it's on Amazon Prime. El Vino is the name.
It's In Vino.
In Vino.
The pitch for it now, the director would hate me saying this, but he's brilliant, and I hope that he's already making other movies, so I'm sure he'll be fine. But it's basically the indie budget Knives Out.
Yes, I was going to say that. It's like Clue meets Knives Out.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. What are you telling me, sir? He's trying to send me to something here.
It might be the link of my TCG talk where I performed the monologue. Possibly.
Yes. Chris Susi is my twin, and he's not really my twin, but we have the same birthday. But he's often helping me out with research, so I thank him for that. He's not in the studio, but he's virtually in the studio. We'll say that. Maybe I will have a virtual studio.
I'll tell you, my first play I ever wrote was performed on the top of a hotel in Manhattan that had a swimming pool. And the play took place in a boat. And it was about 3 guys stranded in a lifeboat after a cruise ship sinks. And 2 of them find out that the other one is hiding a rabbit.
Oh, wow.
And the obvious conversation ensues.
That's awesome.
But so, speaking of kind of non-traditional format, we were in a swimming pool. The audience sat in the round. And it was the first time that I had ever written. And it was an extraordinary experience. I built the boat to be able to have the production in the festival. And then from there, it transferred to a few other one-act festivals around the country and got published, which was great. But this notion of having non-traditional venues or non-traditional types and styles and formats of theater to be able to tell cool new stories has kind of been a part of my history for a long time. And so I would say Jettison, which is the name of the play, is definitely a favorite.
Jettison. We'll have to look that up. I'll post a link to that as well. At least the credit for it. Let me pitch you this.
Okay.
My idea here is we take the screen and the only reason I say this is because I've seen it done in Second Life, so I know it can be done most likely in Hub. And you're able to use what's known as the alpha channel of the video to just grab us away from our background, as we do with a green screen. And we superimpose, but you basically superimpose a transparent background, so you could actually be standing as a 2D representation of yourself floating in the space. And that might be the next step in this.
That cannot be done in hubs.
Right.
I have tried. I've broken it.
Okay.
It can be done with
Excellent.
images, but it cannot yet be done with video.
Okay.
However, that is very intriguing, and thank you for telling me that, because what I'm basically looking for and where I found hubs and where I found baby monitor apps and where I found OBS is all these things have been me just saying, how can you for free stand up some people on a stage?
Yeah.
So, and StreamYard's a pretty cool tool. Like if we both had this same background and then just stood next to each other. Oh, you're over there.
Right.
Stood next to each other. We could basically work that way.
Yeah, I should have gotten you to send me that background, and then we could do that. I apologize to my audience, and especially my mom, who's here as usual and enjoying it all. But yeah, I'd love to try that out. Maybe not live, but maybe we could.
Let's try it live. Why not? That's what we're here to do.
Let's see what I can do here. I'm going to switch back to my other camera, and if you could message me that background, that would be awesome.
While we're doing that, do you have another rabbit hole you want to go down and talk about while we pull all this up?
So I was going to share this. This was the particular thing that I was talking about. So a former guest of mine, Laura Osnes, you may know her name.
Yeah, I know her.
Yeah, she. Let's see if I can get this up the right way. But it's on Instagram, so it's not going to show up correctly. But I'll share it anyway. While we go down the rabbit hole, let's see. Share audio. This is going to come out, I think, August 5th. There it says so right there.
5th, join us for the world premiere of a new musical featuring some of your favorite Broadway actors.
They're the worst.
All attending a dinner party where they serve meatballs, mayhem, and murder. A Killer Party, a new digital musical and your new deadly obsession in 9 episodes. You'll be begging to know who done it. Starring Christina Alabado, Jackie Burns, Carolee Carmela, Miguel Cervantes, Drew Galen, Jeremy Jordan, Alex Newell, Laura Osnes, Jared Spector, Michael James Scott, and Jessica Keenan-Wynn as they spend one night together singing, dancing, and solving a murder. So grab your notepad and follow along because you're invited to A Killer Party. Pre-sale start July 27th.
That's fantastic.
Isn't that? That's fantastic.
I think Pixel Playhouse would be upset about that, but I think that's very cool.
Yeah, I know it's going to draw people in, and it's definitely supporting our art, and it's what people are looking for, and like what you were doing, it's very, very much what people are looking for. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. So
yeah, good that I could share it with you.
Do you have a headset?
You know what? I don't, unfortunately,
okay. No worries.
But we'll try this out anyway. And
I was going to recommend the Under Presents is a VR group that is paying actors to basically be in character in VR 24/7, or as long as they are willing to hourly, and they've just created an entire like world, kind of like when you play a video game and there's little side quests you can go on, or you can just like get lost in the woods and meet like a farmer. It's basically the world's largest site-specific virtual theater project, which is pretty cool. So anybody who has a headset, that's a pretty fun thing to check out.
Well, my brother is very much, I have a brother who has done this VR stuff for a while now. He was always trying to get me into it. So I'll see if he has an extra headset lying around. Mom, call Joe.
I've pasted the link for you to grab it off of Dropbox and have the same background as me.
Excellent. And I see that. Yeah. And we're going to grab the background. Folks, bear with us. Sing a song while you're waiting.
Well, do you have any other musings that you want to chat about?
Oh my gosh, I have so many musings. Let's see. Oh gosh, and now it's asking me to sign into Dropbox, of course, but
you should be able to access it without doing that.
Yeah, I think I can. It's just being finicky. Oh, got it. Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. Slowly.
This is what collaboration looks like, everybody.
Yes, exactly.
Sit there and troubleshoot all day.
And Chrome, yes. Save image as, yes. Thank you.
Save the image.
And
if you line yours up so that it's the left side going off the screen on the right side, so it's just kind of half the image, I've taken mine and just slid the right side, then basically we'll meet in the middle.
Okay.
Versus us having the exact same image just replicated twice.
All right.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes absolute sense. I actually have a degree in this, oddly enough.
Wow.
Yes. No, that is not right. That's not the right one. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do something else, which is crazy. I'm going to actually capture the image because it's not working another way. 4 on the Apple keyboard. That is Option Shift 4, ladies and gentlemen, on the Apple keyboard.
Noted. Noted.
And now I'll open that up with Preview. Where are you, Preview?
But what I love about this, and I think you're demonstrating it in real time, which is fun actually, is I think a lot of people feel intimidated by getting involved in these type of workflows or these type of technologies because they think, oh, I don't know, or I'm not good at that, or, you know, I'm going to break it. And it's all to be broken. None of this stuff actually works 100% of the time or correctly or is meant to be used the way we're using it. This has all just been duct taped together in this moment. And so I think feeling inspired to know that you're not going to do it wrong, because I made this Furture Stages thinking I'm kind of hacking this thing together with what I know how to do and just making it available. And I've had nothing but emails and phone calls from people in the XR community with like 35 years of experience going, wait, how did you get the textures to blah, 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 blah? And I'm going, oh, I toggled that thing on and off until it looked good. And they're like, wait, how'd you know to do that? And I was like, oh, I just untoggled all of them and went one by one, toggling them back on to see what the difference was. And it's that level of approach of just being completely from the outside and not knowing what I'm doing wrong and what I don't know. And that I can actually stumble into something new and different. So I think you should feel inspired watching us bumble around how to replace our backdrops, that we're all in this together, just figuring it out. And you might actually have the answer that we're all looking for how to save theater in this moment. So
that's right.
It's worth playing.
Yeah. BG, I'm going to say this, BG left is what I'm going to call it. As we do in the 3D.
I thought I had vamped long enough, Christopher. I thought I had vamped.
You had vamped quite a bit, but I was still managing to, okay, let's see if it works this time. Oh, what are you doing? The upload is taking too long.
Why is there an upload?
Well, so I had to download it. Yeah, and then I'm putting it in StreamYard. But what I can do is, of course, do it the other method, which was stupid. Why didn't I think of this before? And I'm going to do it in another program.
What we're doing, for those that don't know, is I'm just on a green screen background right now. I can reveal the trickery filters, and I just have a green screen behind me that is actually not even a fancy green screen. This is a $12 tablecloth. So you too can have a green screen. And then inside of OBS, which is Open Broadcaster software, which is free, I simply remove the background, and then I've layered underneath me an image. And we have the benefit right now because of StreamYard that if Chris does the same thing, we will effectively be next to each other, split screen on the same backdrop. But what I've been exploring is doing the exact same thing, but all within the same program. So instead of me beaming out to Chris and Chris, or me beaming up to StreamYard and Chris beaming to StreamYard and putting us next to each other, us all beaming to the same ecosystem. So I could layer us in front or behind each other. We could have full range of the stage. We could high five if we lined it up correctly. And it just allows a little more control and fluidity over the compositing of the two images. But it's basically the same thing of dropping people in, removing their backdrops, and lining them up. So that's what we're doing here. Oh, Christopher's is better quality, so I should darken my curtain, is obviously what's going to happen now.
Oh my, I'm the wrong way around. My camera is reversed. And I'm huge. I'm huge.
Well, can you shrink yourself?
Yes, I can actually. I didn't even think of that.
See, these are the things. We composite ourselves together by dialing it in slowly. And this is what you would do in rehearsal, right? Like you do this stuff in rehearsal anyway, where you figure out, when you enter from there, it's a little weird, or maybe delay a bit and come in on this line instead. So this is all just the same stagecraft. We're just applying it to a digital medium, which can be a little less overwhelming. So instead of learning something completely brand new, you're just applying your knowledge base to a new format, which is fun. Or I think it's fun because I'm a nerd.
And I am as well, but unfortunately, my nerdliness. Oh, there I am. And of course, my head is cut off. Well, I can just step down a minute. Here we go. All right. So,
we're going to step down. All right. I'll come to you.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. Sounds good. And you can tell our lighting is a bit off, but that is all experimentation.
Yeah, you're a little more front lit.
Yeah. And also the other thing would be my delay, my frame rate is much less than yours right now. I'm probably like maybe 5 frames a second. And that's probably due to the software I'm using. I'm using a third-party software called
So yeah, but this simulates in a way us being able to perform together and be in the same virtual space, which is
exactly
pretty cool.
Yes.
At the end of the day.
Very much so. And I am now looking off to you. You're right there. I see you. But that's all about acting anyway. So maybe if I were to put, of course, a screen in front of me where I could prompt myself to look at you instead of looking over here, that might work. But yeah, that's very cool.
So look at that, a little real-time tutorial. We crushed
it. Love it. I'm going to switch cameras back again because I hate the fact that I can't see my frame changing at all. I think probably if I were to use OBS like you're using, I might not have that problem at all.
Right.
It's all
I know that you were in Georgia, where I just did a movie musical called The Day-Long Brothers in October. So my heart is fond for Georgia. I also, I'm from North Carolina. And so I'll just give a little preface. I have ribs that are cooking. So we're going to have to wrap up so that I can go save the Southern boy needs his ribs.
Absolutely.
And you can't ruin your ribs. It's a rule.
What a great thing to say to wrap this up. So yeah, enjoy your ribs. And North Carolina, amazing barbecue, by the way, amazing.
It's the vinegar.
Yes, it is. It is. And let's see, International Delights.
International Delights.
Yes. In downtown Durham.
I've never been to International Delights.
You need to go. Oh my gosh. Just
wow.
The fact that they won't give you ketchup for your fries is astounding. It is a falafel / gyro place, and we eat there every time we're in Durham.
All right. Well, I will add it to my list.
Absolutely. Brendan, this has been amazing and also bizarre at the same time, but I've really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to is the musical coming out soon?
Oh, thanks. And if anybody wants to converse more about these things or try it out for themselves, I'm reachable on all the places at Brendan A. Bradley, the little handle here. That's my handle everywhere. And if you go to brendanabradley.com/future stages, you can start playing around with a virtual theater for freezies. It's the best price in town.
It is. It absolutely is. All right, Brendan, go enjoy your ribs. I'm going to sign off here and give a couple of words, but thanks for joining us again.
Thank you, Chris. Take care.
You too. Guys, that was Brendan Bradley. I am Chris Bass. Today is Tuesday, and you're watching the Savannah Performance Project. Next week, I'll be back. I don't know what I'll be doing, but actually tomorrow night, we will have a community forum for anybody who wants to join. That is based in Savannah and is based in performance of any style. We're talking about comedy. We're talking about theater. We're talking about music. We're talking about production. We're talking about stagecraft, all of those things. I would love to have you come and let's talk. Let's do stuff. Let's see what we can create and inspire and keep the light on.